When I was your guys' age, I had a dream that I wanted to be a famous chef, just like Gordon Ramsay. I worked really hard at it, and it was something that I really wanted to do. But I found myself not able to get that dream. I wasn't able to travel because I already had a kid, and I didn't think that I would be able to go to school because I had a kid. I thought I was too busy, and I ended up abandoning that dream. What happens with us and a dream we want to accomplish but end up abandoning is the same thing that happens with friends. We want to stay close to but end up drifting apart from them. We have a goal, we have an end game in mind, and sometimes that dream dies, that friendship fizzles out, and things just don't turn out the way that we want them to. Because without making a habit of spending time with people that we care about, or without making a habit out of practicing the skills that we need to make that dream come true, we don't accomplish what we want. And here's the thing, many of you may have started an exciting new relationship with God, or maybe you've been following Jesus for a while, but you don't want to drift from him. Or if I had to guess, I would bet some of you have had the same sort of experience with God already. The relationship fizzles, the goal of feeling close to him never is reached, and maybe you have found yourself wondering why that happens. Is it because God is invisible, or he feels far away, or it seems strange to try and figure out a way to talk to someone that you don't have a text thread with, or maybe you even wonder if you did something wrong to cause that distance. Whatever your idea you have of what you think a relationship with God looks like, maybe it just isn't happening and feels a bit like the goal you abandoned and the friendship that just isn't the same anymore. The question you're asking is this the way that it has to be? When he was on earth, Jesus had a moment when he was surrounded by several religious experts. They loved asking him questions, sometimes because they wanted to learn from him, but mainly because they wanted to trip him up. Jesus responded with an answer that every one of the teachers and experts of the laws would have known by heart because they've heard it their entire lives. Check this out. Jesus tells us what he wants us to do. Love an invisible God with everything that we have. But he doesn't say how at that moment. Later, Jesus uses an illustration to help explain that. John, one of Jesus' followers and friends, records a big conversation between Jesus and his disciples. Jesus knew that while he was visible to his friends at that moment, he wouldn't be much longer. Eventually, he would return to heaven and no longer walk on the earth. It didn't mean that Jesus would no longer exist. He would just no longer be visible in the way that they had gotten used to. With that in mind, Jesus gives them this illustration. Now, back then, agriculture or farming was common and popular as cell phones are today. It was part of everyday life. Everybody knew about farming, vines, and plant life. They would have immediately known that the branch of the plant can only create fruit if the fruit is connected to the nutrients the vine provides. So let's put this into terms that we would use today. It would be like saying the power cord gets electricity it needs from the power outlet to give power to whatever it's plugged into. The verse is written a little differently and would go something like this. I am the power outlet, you are the cord. If you remain in me and I in you, you will power any device. Apart from me, you can power nothing. Most of us have things at home that need to be plugged into an outlet in order to work, like our televisions, hair straighteners, coffee pots. The list could go on for days and days. Think about the incredible things you can do and all the people you connect with through your phone, your Xbox. If your Xbox was connected to an outlet, it can do wonders. If your Xbox is unplugged, it's just a heap of metal. If your phone is connected to an outlet, it's the single most innovative piece of technology of all time. If your phone has no battery left, its potential is just that, potential. If your device is connected to an outlet and has true power, if your device has no electricity, it's dead. It's a lot like you and your relationship with God. You have so much power. You have so much potential to do so many things. You can love your friends. You can serve your family. You can make wise decisions. You can pursue God's plan for your life. You can even change the world right where you are simply by living the life God has called you to live. You can do all of these things and more in your everyday life if you're plugged in. That's where you begin to bear fruit. which is equal to your devices being powered up. When you're connected to God, you get to live the single most greatest creation of all time. God said so when he made you. If you aren't connected, you have all the potential in the world, but there's something standing in the way. You're still the greatest creation of all time, but there's a gap between you and your power source. We need to stay connected to God and know God. We need to know more about God in order to love God more. And a loving God, and what Jesus said is important about the most important commandments of all time. So we need to be connected to him with all that we are. Think of it this way. Connecting with God helps us know him better. Connecting with God will help you know him better. But connecting with an invisible God will take some effort. It will take making that connection a habit. Loving God with all our hearts, mind, soul, and strength means that we're putting in some effort and overtime to make that happen. So how do we do that? Well, there's a lot of ways that we connect with God. So we're gonna just start with one simple idea. Spend time with God. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking more specifically about ways that you can spend time with God. But this week, I want to give you a challenge to spend 15 minutes with God each day. Doing what? Well, let me give you a few ideas. Listen to worship music and think about God while you do it. Go for a walk and pray, talking to God about the things that you're grateful for or need help with in your life. Write down some prayers, thoughts, or questions in a journal. You can even download a Bible app called YouVersion and read devotionals on it. Pick one and go for it. Or come up with ideas as you do with the landing on how to build habits to get to know God in everyday ways. Whatever you decide, it doesn't have to be perfect or feel magical. There's one goal and one point of spending time with God, to get to know him better by connecting with him, like connecting a power source. To begin to build into our lives in the space of habit that we've spent with God, just know whatever you decide to try may look different for different people. Because just like there are endless ways that you connect with your friends, seeing them at school, hanging out on the weekends, commenting on their social media, there are endless ways that you can connect with God. The point isn't how you do it, it's that you do it over and over again, making it a habit, a pattern out of time spent with him. Even though God is with us all the time, the habit of spending time with him will eventually bring a feeling of closeness that we maybe haven't experienced before. Here's the thing. God wants you to make a habit of spending time with him, of getting close to him. Not because he wants to control you, but because he wants to be close to you. He's a good dad who wants a good relationship with his kids, and that includes you.